2yes.
Hi guys, this is 2yes Gaming, and today we're going to be showing you our first ever Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. Now, 2yes Gaming is primarily a gaming channel, but we like to go into different forms of media, and today we're going to be showing you Yu-Gi-Oh, one of our favorite card games from a long time ago.
Yeah, we play over other games, card games anyway. So,
my deck profile as RobbinGuy, I like to use the archetype called Yang Zings, and recently the new Challengers booster pack came out and they released more support for that archetype, and this has certainly made Yang Zings a lot more consistent and a lot more fun to play. And I've got the cards for it, so I'd like to show you my deck profile. So first off, we use 3 Suanni. Now he's a 1900 attack beat stick, and if he's used as a synchro material for a synchro monster, that synchro monster gains 500 attack. It's not the best ability, but it's always good giving your monster 500 attack and defense. For example, Armades or even a Yazi, who we will see later on. So 3 of these. Next off, we have 3 Bians. Now Bian is the level 3 of the deck, and if you use him as a synchro material for a monster, the monster will be immune to battle. Now this is very good if you want to make your Armades battle immune or your Yazi battle immune, but the problem with him is that a lot of monsters don't die by battle these days. They mainly, like for example, Construct can kill monsters without battle, so you know it may be pointless giving this to a synchro monster basically. But still, he's level 3, which is quite a lot. It helps making big synchro plays. Next off, we have 3 Bixis. Now Bixi is a level 2 monster, and when it's used as a synchro monster, used as a material for a synchro monster, the monster will be immune to trap cards. Now this is probably one of the most powerful effects of the Yang Zing monsters, because it can be immune to Bottomless, Torrential Tribute, Phoenix Wing Blast, Compulsory, a lot of the powerful trap cards that are Burning Abyss players are playing at the moment. Also something like Dimensional Prison. Also it's a level 2, which, you know, it's not a lot of levels, but it's good to have level 2 monsters. For example, you can make your Armades trap immune, or even the Yazi, the new synchro monster for Yang Zing's trap immune. So moving on.
He's got high defense.
He's got high defense, yeah. He's not good just playing defense mode. Next we have Pulao. Now I only run 1 Pulao because he's probably more of the lesser good Yang Zing monsters. His effect is that if he's used as a synchro material for a synchro monster, the monster will be spell immune. Now it's not the most powerful effect. A lot of people these days don't use Dark Hold or Rigeki, but it's still good against people who use a Monarch Stormforth or something like Creature Swap or even Mind Control. It's it's a good card to have. I think it's a good one of, and I wouldn't run more than 1 copy. Next off, now we have the tuner of the deck, Chiwen. Chiwen is like a Plague Spreader zombie for Yang Zings. So basically, when a Yang Zing monster is destroyed and he's in your graveyard, you can special summon him from the graveyard. So it's sort of like a +1, just like that. He is only level 1, so your other monsters do have to make the rest of the levels up, but he's always going to make you the big plays. Now moving on. Now this is the new card from the new booster pack, Jiaotu, the Darkness of the Yang Zing. Now he's probably the reason why Yang Zings are much more faster. Now his effect is that you can discard 2 Yang Zing cards from your hand to special summon 1 Yang Zing monster with 0 attack and 1 with 0 defense. This means that you can do a instant Baxia, instant Yazi, instant into probably any synchro monster in 1 turn, and all you have to do is ditch 2 Yang Zing cards, which could be considered a lot, but if you, for example, get out a Baxia, the Baxia can spin back 3 cards your opponent controls back in the deck, so it sort of pays for itself. I do run 3. Some people don't know how many of these to run. I would say definitely run 3, because even if you draw 2 of them in your first hand, you can summon him, ditch the other copy and one of the Yang Zing card, and get your synchro play off. Also, he is dark, so that is an issue because if you can't run Shadow in Prison Mirror in your own side deck basically, so it is a bit of confliction. So you have to be careful when using him.
I'll pull you in the sneak peek.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah, I pulled. Yeah.
I run now one Taotie Shadow of the Zing. He is the.
Oh, he came out as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Most of the new Zing that came out all dark attribute. This one's the first level 5, and the good thing about him is that he's got the most attack. He's got 2200, so he can sort of trade off with Winder, and also he can be used with Jiaotu to make an instant level 7 to make Yazi. Now the one issue with him is that when he's used for a synchro material, for a synchro monster, the synchro monster's only the effect that this passes on is that the monster's control cannot be switched, which isn't the most greatest effect, but it's still good to have a level 5 because that does solve a lot of the levels. The one issue with Zings is that sometimes you can't fulfill the levels of the higher monsters, so it's good to have 5 straight away. For example, you can make a Yazi with just 2 cards, him and Jiaotu to make an instant level 7, and that can be really powerful monster. Now moving on to the non-Zing monster cards, I run one copy of Knight Dragolich. One Dragolich, sorry. He's sort of like the tech card of the deck. He's got a really good he's got 2 really good continuous effects, and he's able to sort of beat out any established fields. His effect is that change all special summon monsters from the main deck and extract to defense position. Also, reduce their defense by the original defense, so he makes all your opponent's monster defense become 0 and they become defense position. And this card can take care of cards like Winder, Knight Dragolich, basically any card that's giving you any problem, even Virgil. And also he can be special summoned from the graveyard using Yazi's secondary effects, but we'll move on to that later. But he's a really good tech card. I think he just bails you out in a lot of situations. I also would like to run 2 copies of Effect Veiler. Now, Effect Veiler, it's one of those cards that breakthrough skill is a lot better, but I just prefer the Effect Veiler. It just catches your opponent off guard. It lets your opponent commit plays without them knowing that they're going to be veiled. A player is more likely to play conservative when they see a set card, but if they don't know you got Effect Veiler, they're more likely something like BLS, and when you Effect Veiler that, it's more just saying duck. So I like to run 2 copies of these, just my personal preference.
Plus it can't be MST'd.
Can't be MST'd, can't be trap stunned, so it gets past, I know, even wiretapped, which a lot of players are playing these days. So it gets around all the cards that people are trying to counter trap cards, so it's good to have this sort of as a surprise.
Worst comes to worst, you can sync with it.
Sync with the tuner as well, yeah. Now onto the spell cards. Now I run 3 copies of Zing Path. Now this is probably one of the most powerful spell cards that Zings have. It's like a Pot of Greed, and it lets you recycle your graveyard to your deck. So
more like a Pop Avarice.
Pop Avarice, yeah. You return basically 3 Zing monsters from your graveyard to your deck, and then you draw 2 cards. Now that's an instant +1, and the reason why some people say that running 3 can be quite cloggy, but I find that with Jiaotu you can discard these magic cards as fodder for his effect. Also, with Jiaotu's effect, you're more likely to have Zings in your graveyard, so this card is more live at all times basically, and it's good to replenish your hand after using Jiaotu's effect. And I would definitely run this at 3. Now moving on. Now this is a synchro based deck, so mind control is a staple. Take your opponent's card, summon Chiwen, summon Effect Veiler, summon Jiaotu, make an instant synchro monster.
Yeah, I think most synchro decks should
run mind control.
Yeah, pretty much.
It does really just clear cards and gives you establishment on the field. Next one, I run 1 copy of Dark Hole. Now Dark Hole is really good because Zings will trigger off Dark Hole. So you summon a monster, play Dark Hole, you get another Zing out. So you never lose when you play Dark Hole. I don't run a copy of Raigeki in this deck because I rather use Dark to destroy my monsters and get my combos going. I run 1 copy of Soul Charge. Now Soul Charge is really good with Jiaotu because when you discard the 2 cards, you can use Soul Charge to reborn them. So, you know, you'll always have Grave to revive with it, and early on, if you get it, you can do some really good synchro plays with Baxia. And copy 1 Book of Moon. Now, we've noticed that this format, a lot of people are using a lot of trap cards, and to counter that, they're using trap stun. So I've decided to use Book of Moon just so that I can still play if people are using stuff like trap stun and they can't Wiretap Book of Moon. You know, and also it's quite good against Shadows as well, because if they use Shadow Fusion and then you play Book of Moon on your special summon monster from the extra deck, they can't use material from the deck, basically. Onto the trap cards. 2 copies of Trap Stun. Now Trap Stun's a really good card in this deck because you need to neutralize your opponent's trap cards so that you can get Jiaotu's effect off. Because if Jiaotu's effect fails, for example, if you use Jiaotu's effect to discard 2 cards, summon 2 cards and they disturb that play, then you won't be able to, you're losing all those cards and then using your whole field, so you won't be able to get the benefit of Jiaotu. So the good thing is that play Trap Stun, use Jiaotu's effect, get a Baxia out and shuffle all your opponent's trap cards back into the deck or the field. So it allows you to sort of get the most benefit out of Baxia. Now for the Yang Zing trap cards. 3 Yang Zing creation. Now this card is really, really powerful in my opinion. The reason why I run 3 copies of it is because it's an instant +1 every turn. Now if with the Yazi and Baxia you can just keep gaining and gaining off this card. This card is probably one of the most powerful cards of Yang Zings. You know, it gives them that pluses that other decks don't have. The thing about Yang Zings is that they don't draw too many cards. They have to sort of get the deck to the field and not the deck to hand. So this card definitely supplements that sort of play. I would definitely run 3 in any build. Some people say run 2 or 1. I completely disagree with that. Next off, we have 2 Wiretaps. Now I run Wiretaps and Traps together. It's good to not to have 3 of each, or 3 of one and 1 of the other. I think it's good to have a balance of these 2, because if you play Trapstun and your opponent plays Wiretap, you can Wiretap them back. So it's always good to have Wiretaps. I think even it's good saying stuff like breaking skill back to the deck and just negating Solemn Warning. And also it sort of helps Jiaotu's getting his plays off as well. And you always want to make sure Jiaotu's effect goes off when you do decide to use it. I would never use Jiaotu's effect if I knew it would never go through. So it had a chance of not going through. The next trap is Breakthrough Skill. Now Breakthrough Skill is, in my opinion, one of the best trap cards this format. It may not be very good against Cliff Orts, but it's still a very powerful card against Shadows, because stuff like Winder can really get in your way, and also Construct can also cause a lot of troubles for you. And Breakthrough Skills, the two shots it gives you is just really powerful. And I would probably run 3, maybe. I'm thinking about running 3, just not too sure what to take out for it. Now for staples, Compulsory. Compulsory is, in my opinion, a very good card staple. In fact, it just gets rid of any card this format. You know, maybe not the best against Cliports, but I definitely still run it. TT, now this is really good for Yang Zings, because when TT's played, Yang Zings get their effects off. So I definitely run this, because you never lose out when you use TT. I wish Konami would, change the balance and make it up to like 2 or 3 maybe, just so to give them a bit more power. Also even Dark Hole, because I think maybe 2 Dark Holes wouldn't hurt since Rigeki's back, but we'll have to see. Next we have Bottomless Trap Hole. Now Bottomless Trap Hole it's a good card. It doesn't stop Winder, but it definitely stops Construct and removes it from play. So I definitely still running, especially against Cliports. Removing a whole Pension Summon is really effective in beating them. And last staple is Solemn Warning. I always run Solemn Warning. Just it's a good card to negate a lot of summons. Considering changing it to a Solemn Advice potentially, because Solemn Advice can act as Solemn Scalding can act as a third Wiretap, and it's good to have that versatility at your side. And that's it for the main deck. Now we're going to move on to the extra deck. We have one copy of Formula Synchron in case of Chiwen and Pulao. We have one copy of Herald of Arc Light. This is a new card from the new challenges. It's really good if you're making battle immune. Next we have Underworld fighter Balmung. He's also another level 4, and if you're making battle immune, you can cause quite a lot of troubles. Level 5 we have Stardust Dragon of Rebirth. He's like a monster reborn. When it's destroyed, disperse summon a monster from either player's graveyard. Next we have Armades, Keeper of the Boundaries. He's really good against Shaddolls and the mirror matches. Next we have Goyo Guardian. He's really good. Kills a monster by battle. You take control of it, especially if you make him with Suanni, and you can take control of a BLS. Next we have Black Rose Dragon. You know, if you have a field that you can't handle, just summon Black Rose and then blow everything up. Next we have Yazi, Evil of Zing. He's the new synchro monster for Zing. He's got some really good effects. He's like a scrap dragon, and he can't be targeted by card effects. Also, when he's destroyed, he can replace himself with any one monster from the deck. Then we have Crimson Blader. He's really good against Light Swans. Then we have Beelze, a trap immune. Beelze is very good against Shaddolls. Then we have a Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon is, you know, decently good this format, but I'm not too sure how well he'll fave against Quillops. Next we have two copies of Baxia. Baxia is really good. For every different attribute used for his synchro summon, he gets to spin one card back one card into your opponent's deck. Also, he's got another effect where you destroy a monster, special summon one from your graveyard, and he likes to keep the Zing loops keep on looping.
Boss monster, yeah.
Boss monster. You can't win without him, hopefully. Leo's a high level, you know, in case you use mind control. And then we have a Star Eater, again another mind control. If I use mind control a high level monster, summon Chiwen and make Star Eater. And that's it for the extra deck. And that's my deck profile for the Zings. And I would like to hear your guys' comment in the YouTube comment section below. Tell me if there's any changes that you'd like to suggest.
Yeah, give the video a thumbs up.
Or any other deck profiles that you'd like to see. We do have a lot of decks within our Yu-Gi-Oh community. You know, we've got Shadow players, we've got some X-Sabers, and we've just got loads of, maybe we've got spellbook players, so you know, they're kind of rare these days. If you'd like to see, just let us know and we'll try to sort something out.
And we'll also put all the deck list in the description.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't do, which I get annoyed at.
Well, just like, why didn't you do it? Just noting it down while it's going like, slow down.
I'm not saying that you should copy this deck, it's just a personal preference. I don't think anyone should just copy and paste this deck. I think it's a good balance, I think, between the advantages of Zings. What else is there to say?
I don't know. That's about it.
Okay, so thank you for watching if you made it this far, and like, favorite, subscribe, and thank you.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye. 2yes.
Boss battle, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Standard draw with this deck.
Just to break.
Set your cards, yes.
And we'll summon.
I noticed with this, if you hold up,
We've got a nice spell card here. Go!
let's use
200 damage!
Everybody 2000 defender.